this video today is about absolute top impression share, or you may see it inside your Google Ads account under the column headings, impression IMPR share, parentheses, ABS top percentage. But that in itself stands for absolute top impression share. And why this means way more clicks for you by getting it to where it's close to 100% as possible as you can. Now, disclaimer, you don't always want 100% absolute top impression share. Why? Because it's not going to make you the most profit. What the definition of absolute top impression share is how many times that you showed up in the top #1 position on the Google Ads. So there's 4 ad spots on Google. Percentage of the time you show up here in the top position when people searched for your keywords, and, or should I, just to keep it simple, when they searched for your keywords. Because there's like 2 elements here. If you're bidding on the keyword red shoes, whether you show up for red shoes or not, ultimately also is up to Google's ad system or algorithm that decides if your ad should show or another ad should show, or not, your ad shouldn't show at all, even if there are other ads to show, or there's more than 4 ads to show here at the top of Google. In order to get what Google normally calls as impression share, or 100% impression share, to where your ad always shows up for that keyword you're bidding on, you have to have good click-through rates and conversion rates. Otherwise, Google doesn't want to show you every time because it gives their users a bad experience. Absolute top impression share is how many times you show up in the very top position. Impression share is just how many times you show up on Google in general, including the ad spots clear at the, after all the organic listings, the top 10 organic listings. So, with that said, absolute top impression share would get you the most clicks, because it's you've pleased the algorithm to show to where you're eligible to show up every single time for your keywords, and you're showing up at the top place within the ads on the top of Google, which, by the way, if you don't know anything about the top position on Google versus the second, the third, and the fourth position here, the #1 position on Google here now means 2 to 3 times more clicks than the third and the fourth ad position on Google. Why is that? Because about half of the people who search on Google don't read the ads before they click on them. They just click on the first one. So if you actually are targeting your ads really, really well, to where people didn't necessarily need to read your ad to know it's the right thing for them, and you have a universal offer, we'll also say, then showing up at the top position is fine, because half the people that don't read ads and pre-qualify themselves or disqualify themselves by reading ads and realizing, like, this website isn't going to have what I want, you would actually get the most possible business to your website that way. So therefore, you would want to be in the top position 100% of the time. You'll get 2 to 3 times more clicks in that top position. However, big however here, you'll have 40 to 50% less conversion rate in this top position versus the third and fourth position. Because, going back to what I said before, a lot of people use Google like this. They just type in whatever they're looking for, and then whatever Google shows, they assume Google's done their homework on it. What's being shown for them is relevant to what they're searching for. They don't need to read anything necessarily. So the people who don't read, many times, aren't also, the person who doesn't read and just clicks on the first ad isn't pre-qualifying themselves. Therefore, the person you're getting your website is less qualified as a whole than somebody who read through the ad and said, yep, that ad is what I need. It says that it's specifically what I need, and then they qualify themselves before getting your website. Therefore, you get a better quality visitor to your website. Therefore, you have a higher conversion rate on the traffic you're paying for. So with that said, if you you should always know what kind of an ROI you need from your campaigns going into running Google Ads. If you know that you need $8 in sales for every dollar in ad spend that you spend, which through the tracking Google Ads has, that doesn't really tell you that well what your ROI is. The tracking inside Google Ads tells you how to steer your ads in one direction to the other, but it doesn't tell you an overall ROI at all very good. Why? Because a lot of the conversions don't get counted. You know, on average, it only counts like half of the sales you get. But let's say you're tracking your overall sales at your company, and when you raise your ad budget, you see your overall sales go up a certain percentage or amount, so you can pretty well tell what your ROI is, or you're generating leads and you track how many of those leads turn into sales and so on and so forth real well. And you know you need an 800% ROI. That is $8 in sales for every dollar in ad spend that you spend, and you find out through an audit that you do that you're at $10 in sales for every dollar in ad spend that you're spending through Google Ads. At that point, if you do not have a very high absolute top impression share metric, meaning you're like below 50%, I encourage you to raise your keyword bids or lower your target ROAS setting, which will get you higher up in this ad list, or in the top 4 ads in the top of Google, or raise your target CPA setting so that you show up at a higher percentage of the time at the top of the ads, which also obviously goes into raising your absolute top impression share number. Therefore, you're showing up at the top of the list for your keywords a higher percentage of the time. Because the more you're willing to pay, the higher percentage of the time you're going to show up at the top of the list for your keywords. That said, your click-through rate and your conversion rate also dictates what percentage of the time you're going to show up in the first position, at least for whatever you're willing to pay. If you're willing to pay $3 per click, you may only be able to show up in the first spot because it's not an on or off thing for a certain keyword. Google subsegments people who search for a certain keyword, and they may put you in that top position 30% of the time for a keyword. With the click-through rates and the conversion rates you're getting, if you're willing to pay twice as much for a click, now you'll show up 60% of the time in the top ad spot. So, like I said, it's dependent on what you're willing to pay for that top spot and how good of an advertiser you are in terms of click-through rate on your ad and conversion rate on the traffic you get to your website as well, because Google wants to put the people out there in the top spot that are doing a good job pleasing their users, so they want to go back to Google in the future and click on ads. And so if they have a choice, they'd rather show somebody that pleases their users, unless they come with a metric ton of cash, then they'll kind of make a compromise in those unique situations. So, in other words, going back and kind of full circle on this, if you have an ROI that's already better than what you need, I would recommend try to aim for a higher absolute top impression share, because that's going to get you way more clicks, like I said, because the top position gets 2 to 3 times the click-through rate than the third and fourth position does. Your conversion rate will be less, yes, but you can afford a lower ROI by having a lower conversion rate, because you're already doing better than the minimum ROI your campaign needs, and the increase in sales you get will offset a little bit of a less ROI. You may go from a 10 ROI to an 8, but you've now doubled your sales and it justified it, or tripled your sales. More so, it's going to be like 2.5 to 3xing your sales for an ROI that might be a little bit less than what you had before. Therefore, it offsets it. Therefore, you're going to make more overall profit showing up at the top position a higher percentage of the time, i.e. absolute top impression share, than you had before. So if you're already doing well ROI-wise, above average, or above the mark you need to be ROI-wise, you may not, you may care a lot about an absolute top impression share, because you want to aim for 100% absolute top impression share. If you're not doing above average ROI, you're struggling, you're not getting the ROI you want, then this absolute top impression share metric is irrelevant to you. You want to be in the third or fourth position, because that's where the best ROI is. See how this flips, depending on whether you're above the ROI you need to have or below it. This is why it's really important to know your numbers, what you need as far as numbers, and have a way to track overall sales as a ratio of ad spend to kind of see what your ROI is. Now, that said, as I mentioned before, this isn't just about one thing, about getting, assuming that you want to have a 100% absolute top impression share, because the number one spot is going to end up making you more money if you get that. Then the ways that you get that is what I'm going to go into next. There's many ways to get this as close to 100% as you possibly can, which for all practical purposes, you'll never get it to be 100%, but 90+% is damn easy to do if you do these things here, which are, number one, have a click-through rate that's higher than the competition that you have. So the other people advertising on Google Ads, if your ad has a higher click-through rate than them, then you'll be automatically a higher absolute top impression share than you had before. Having a higher click-through rate means just writing a better ad, but the easy way to do it is simply to use single keyword ad groups if you're not using them already. So that if somebody's searching for blue socks with black polka dots, your ad says, blue socks with black polka dots, and it's the only ad on the top of the Google that when people type that specific term in that matches what they search for. Therefore, you'll get 3 times the click-through rate on your ad than all the other ads. Therefore, you just automatically won that battle of trying to get a higher click-through rate than your competition. And that's about what the numbers end up being. It's about triple when you do single keyword ad groups like I do them. And the way that I do them, I won't get into all the details on it. You can go to my channel homepage and search for SKAG and find in detail how to set that up to have the highest click-through rate in your space every time. But that's the basic way to do it. And know how to write an ad, of course. But second of all, conversion rate. Half of what determines in terms of the quality of what you're doing itself, that determines if you're going to how close to 100% absolute top impression share you get is down to the conversion rate. How can you make the conversion rate from the clicks you're paying for better? Because that'll get you closer to 100% absolute top impression share. And you get a better conversion rate by hiring a landing page design expert who knows how to write and make landing pages, and I mean real dedicated expert, not a web designer that you try to hire that's going to charge you $500 for a page because it's cheap. People that know how to make highly converting landing pages don't charge $500. They don't. So maybe you'll get by with that if you're like there's basically no competition in your space, and then it's a low money business, so meaning the winners aren't making millions. You might be able to get by with that in some cases. The more competitive space you're in, the more money is at stake, the more money you're going to get in terms of cash prizes. Being the person who makes Google Ads work, the more it's going to take in terms of investment in your landing page as a whole to have the best conversion rate in the space of all the other advertisers. So, and you may look at another landing page and say, "Oh, that's not that impressive." If you haven't tested landing pages before, you're not going to know the difference between a good and a bad landing page. Therefore, you're not going to know even presumably how to hire somebody who isn't going to snow you. And 9 out of 10 people that say they can do a landing page can't. So, best thing I can tell you, the best perspective here to give you, a landing page, what a reputable firm is going to charge is $3 to $10K for one page. One page. Of course, you can use that page for a bunch of other landing pages. You can just create a page and then use most of the design for other pages. The layout's like really the most important thing on a landing page to get a Google ad click to convert into a lead or a sale at the highest rate possible. That may be what you have to do. If you're doing e-commerce, there is no landing pages per se. You're sending them directly to a product page. That simply might be redesigning your site a little bit. But if you're using single key ad groups, a lot of times all that it takes is to take the keyword that you're targeting for that ad group, typing it into the search bar on your e-com site, taking the output of what the search engine on your site gives you, and then using that as your landing page. That's good enough to get you a conversion rate at least good enough to beat the competition that you have. And therefore, you'll get an absolute top impression share of close to 100% because you've done that in combination with getting the highest click-through rate. if your competition gets more out of a customer from Google Ads than you do, because they have a better product or service, so they get more repeat business, or they have more upsells or cross-sells or whatever, they can pay more for a customer. They can pay for more customer, pay more for a customer, they can bid more to end up at the top of the pile, because there is an element of just paying more to get you to the top. Google will set the system up so the people that just want to pay more, it ends up not even backing out ROI-wise if you do a bad job on the click-through rate and conversion rate. But it does offset having a better click-through rate and conversion rate still at the end of the day. So the more you get from a customer, the more you can also be able to be willing to pay for a click, or the more ultimately for a click, and then that gets you to where you can get the rest of the way with to 100% absolute top impression share that you couldn't get inherently on your own by having a higher click-through rate or conversion rate. For the most part, if you just get the click-through rate and conversion rate to beat your competition by a significant margin, you don't have to really worry about lifetime value. Just get an average lifetime value. And for that matter, it's easier to get a higher click-through rate and conversion rate than it is a higher lifetime value from a customer. And it also obviously takes a long time to get a lifetime value of a customer in, because that lifetime value might not come until the first year of dealing with the customer on average. And you can get the click-through rate and conversion rate up if you really put your mind to it in 30 days using the techniques I talk about on this channel. So the fourth thing to mention is the bids. I talked about this already. The more you pay per click, the higher up on the list you're going to go, the higher your absolute top impression share score is going to be. Or if you're using smart bidding, meaning lower your target ROAS or raise your target CPA that you're willing to accept, or tell Google you're willing to accept, because that'll push you higher up the list automatically through ultimately just charging you more for a click. 5, competition. So, not to say that you can affect your competition, but the more competition you have, the more you're going to have to work on to get you a click-through rate that's going to be higher than average. Same thing with the conversion rate. And the longer it's going to also take to have your absolute top impression share be 100%, given it's going to take time for the Google Ad system to figure out what you have is good and to be sure of it. They want to be, as I found, more sure about what you have before they give you that 100% absolute top impression share than if you had low competition. Because why? Because the people that are there probably have been there for a long time. They've had a lot of clicks, paid a lot of money, and they're damn well sure that that person's stuff performs well for their users. So if you're going to push them out of the way, it's going to take more ad spend and more clicks for them to be sure to boot that person out of their position to give you the 100% absolute top impression share the other guy has. And then finally, targeting. If you have shitty targeting, you're targeting way too broad, you're using broad match keywords, whatever, then your absolute top impression share isn't going to be there, because what you're eligible to show up for is already what you should show up for. So therefore, you're not going to get 100% absolute top impression share. However, if you target specific keywords, like long tail keywords, instead of targeting sales training, you're targeting sales training services, sales training firms, like that, and you don't use broad match keywords, you use a phrase match or exact match in that situation, now you're set up to actually achieve 100% absolute top impression share. Why? Because for those very specific terms, you are in position to please those exact users very, very well, particularly if you have a great ad and a great landing page to send them to. So you actually are in position to show up 100% of the time. You take the same keywords and put it in a broad match, though, you won't get half of the absolute top impression share that you would want, because it's not set up tight enough in terms of your targeting, the spread, and therefore gets in front of, potentially there gets you in front of too many people that shouldn't see your ad. And I know this because I see clients, or I come in on a lot of accounts for clients where they're using broad match keywords. They can't figure out why they can't get a absolute top impression share higher than 15%, whereas my ads that target keywords on an exact match basis, or phrase sometimes, has the better click-through rate, has the better conversion rate, I can get it 80, 90%. It's the difference. So, no matter how, in other words, no matter how good the click-through rate and conversion rate is, if your ad is great, you've got the right campaign structure using SCAG setup, great landing page, if you don't have the targeting right, you still ain't going to get 100% absolute top impression share. Far from it. So all these kind of things can kind of go together, if you will. And the best scenario is to have the best ad, best landing page, tight targeting, meaning you use a lot of keywords, so and then target each keyword in like exact match, so that you only show up for, you're telling Google you only want to show up for exact things that you know that you should show up for, and then you have major customer price elasticity in terms of you're getting way more out of a customer than anybody else, so you can pay way more for a click. Now you're almost guaranteed an absolute top impression share of almost 100% guaranteed, and you've set yourself up to guarantee it for yourself there. So anyway, that is how to get 100% absolute top impression share, why it's important to you, how much, and to put into perspective how much more money you can actually make. Meaning 3 times as many sales, a little bit less ROI, but 3 times as many sales to offset it. Like I was talking about before, how the the landscape is with these ads at the top of Google, what makes what. So with that said, I'll wrap it up with that though. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you liked the video, I have a ton of other content on this channel about how to make money with ads. Coming from an ad strategist with 15 years of experience doing Google ads, Facebook ads, so on and so forth. And I just share everything that's currently working as far as stuff that works as well as doesn't work on this channel for free, and I give it to you on a silver platter to use. Stuff that we're using to guarantee results for our clients, given that that's what we do as an agency at Guarantee PPC. We're giving it all to you for free on this channel. We manage a few dozen ad accounts at any given time. Ongoing testing lets us know what's working. We give it to you on this channel for free. It's way better than the information that you get from other channels where the guy or gal is just speculating. They're a full-time YouTuber. They don't manage dozens of ad accounts directly, at least the person teaching you like I do. So therefore, you want to pay attention to this information the most if you want to get serious about making millions of dollars with your ads. With that said, I also have a blog at guaranteedppc.com/blog where I have my personal writing. There's a lot of visuals on the blog. I know I don't do a lot of that on this channel, but plenty of it on my blog if you like that kind of material to look at, as well as I have a column over at entrepreneur.com with really great information on it over there as well. I mentioned a minute ago that we do ad management for clients at our ad agency. This is what we do. But what makes us unique is we guarantee results for our clients. In that, the way that works is we will start out by telling you we'll get you X amount more results on your campaigns, more profit, more sales. And until we do, we don't charge a fee. And if we don't, there is no fee. The only catch is you got to have something we know we can get great results with. But if you want to see if we can work together on your campaigns in that kind of capacity, all you got to do is simply reach out to me at Guarantee PPC, and I'd be more than happy to give you a free assessment to see what's possible and see if we can find a way, to provide enough value to cover the cost of our services long term and work together long term, which is what our goal is, to work with a new client. So GuaranteePPC.com is where you can reach out to me about that assessment. As a side, if you're not looking to work with an ad agency, but you still want to also get great results with your campaigns, you can also use our ad templates that we're selling. That is, we've worked in over 100 markets at this point in time. Of that, if we've worked in your market, you can use the ads and the landing pages and everything we've developed for your market to get results for another client in your market, a bit in a different geographic area, but the results are still the same if they were applied in your area. And then, so we sell those templates that we have to use to get, multi-million-dollar a year winning ad results for a client in your account. You can just literally copy paste everything we did for that market in a different geographic area to your account and get the same results we did. And we can tell you the results you get with it up front because we, of course, ran it in another area. So if you're interested in that, we also have that. We've got people using these templates to start site businesses, e-com businesses, where they can easily source the products themselves and then run a campaign in their country because nobody's doing it there, nobody will. Or a lead generation business where they'll sell the leads to people in that industry. It's a very common business where you generate leads and then sell them to several people in that industry, a certain amount per lead. I sell the same lead to 4 or 5 people. We got the template to generate the leads at rock bottom cost. And that's a passive income business, actually. There is passive of an income, passive of a business idea as you can get. So anyway, with that said, if you're interested in that, more than happy to tell you what opportunities we have, what markets we worked in. Simply reach out to me at guaranteedpc.com. I'll wrap it up with that. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you on my next video where we have another